Time does not change you. Practice does. Let's remove the fantasy gently, because it wastes years. January 1st does nothing. It has never done anything. It is a number pretending to be a doorway. Breathe. Every year, people wait for a date like it's a software update. New year, new me. Same brain, same emotions, same habits. Wearing a new calendar. And then they act surprised when February looks suspiciously like November. This is not a motivation problem. It is an identity problem. Psychology is brutally clear about this. Your personality is not a trait. It is a pattern of thoughts you repeat, emotions you return to, choices you default to when no one is watching. And here's the rule nobody likes. If your personality stays the same, your personal reality stays the same. Different goals, same wiring, same outcomes. Quantum physics says this differently, but agrees. A system does not change because time passes. It changes when its state changes. Same particles, new configuration. Ancient wisdom said it even earlier. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Not as he hopes, not as he promises himself in January, as he practices being. Breathe. So if you want the next year to feel different, you cannot wait to arrive there. You must arrive internally first. This is where rehearsal comes in. Not pretending, not lying to yourself, not vision boards taped to denial. Rehearsal is how the nervous system learns. Athletes rehearse movements before the body ever performs them. Musicians rehearse sound before the fingers obey. Pilots rehearse emergencies they hope never happen. No one calls this delusion. They call it training. Your brain works the same way. Neural circuits do not care whether an experience is happening now or being vividly rehearsed. If it is repeated, it becomes familiar. And whatever feels familiar feels safe. Whatever feels safe gets chosen. This is why most people don't fail at change. They simply rehearse the past more than the future. Same worries every morning, same mental conversations, same emotional tone. Day after day, they practice being the old self with professional-level consistency. Dark humor moment. People say, "I don't know why nothing changes," then proceed to think, feel, and react exactly the same way. Religiously. So the real question is not, what do I want in the next year? The real question is, who am I rehearsing every day right now? Because that is who you will become. And the most powerful rehearsal window is not during effort, not during stress, not during the day. It is the moment before the world tells you who to be. In the next chapter, we'll enter that window and show why mornings are not for information. They are for identity installation. Breathe to that. Why New Year's fail every time. Now let's be honest. Not harsh, just precise. New Year's resolutions don't fail because people are lazy. They fail because nothing internal has shifted. Breathe. A calendar change is external. Identity is internal. And internal always overrides external. Psychology has mapped this clearly. The brain does not follow intentions. It follows familiarity. Whatever thoughts you have practiced the most, whatever emotions your body knows best, whatever reactions you default to under pressure, that is who shows up. No matter what date it is. So when someone says, "New year, new me," but wakes up with the same worries, the same stress chemistry, the same emotional tone, the nervous system quietly replies, "No, same you." Not out of sabotage, out of efficiency. The brain is a prediction machine. It loves what it already knows. even if what it knows is anxiety, even if what it knows is limitation, even if what it knows is suffering. Familiar pain feels safer than unfamiliar freedom. That's why people slide back without noticing. They don't decide to quit. They simply stop rehearsing the new self, and the old one resumes control. From a quantum perspective, this is expected. A system remains in its current state until sufficient energy reorganizes it. Time does not reorganize systems. Repetition does. Ancient wisdom said the same thing without lab equipment. As you practice, so you become. So January fails because it tries to override identity with motivation. Motivation is temporary. Identity is automatic. Dark humor moment. Motivation is like a sugar rush. Identity is like gravity. Guess which one wins? If nothing changes internally, the brain reloads the old program by default. Same thoughts, same emotional baseline, same decisions, same year, wearing a different label. So the real work is not setting goals. It is installing a different default. And the best moment to do that is when the old default is not fully online yet. Right after waking. In the next chapter, we'll open that window and show why mornings are not for catching up. They are for choosing who you are before memory takes over. Breathe to that. The morning window, where identity is still soft. This is the window most people miss, not because it is hidden, but because it is unprotected. Breathe. Right after you wake up, before memory fully loads, before the world reminds you who you were yesterday, your brain is in a different state. Slower, more open, less defended. Psychology calls this reduced filtering. Neuroscience calls it heightened plasticity. Ancient wisdom simply called it dawn. Different languages, same opportunity. In this window, identity is not yet fixed. The old story is not fully running. The emotional tone of yesterday has not locked in. You are, for a few minutes, undefined. And undefined systems are easy to shape. This is why the first input of the day matters more than the rest. Not spiritually, structurally. What enters here sinks deeper. A thought repeated here becomes a bias. An emotion generated here becomes the baseline. An image rehearsed here becomes familiar. Most people waste this window instantly. They grab the phone, they check messages, they scroll headlines, they download other people's urgency. In seconds, the old identity boots up. Same stress, same reactions, same self, restored from backup. Dark humor moment. People say, I wake up tired, then immediately install yesterday's chaos like it's essential software. But if instead, in this soft state, you pause, if you observe the first thoughts without obeying them, if you breathe before reacting, if you choose what enters awareness, something subtle happens. You step out of memory and into presence. This is not mystical. This is mechanical. Observation creates distance. Distance creates choice. Choice creates identity flexibility. The moment you watch a thought, you are no longer inside it. And when you are not inside the past, the future has room to appear. This is why morning rehearsal works. Not because it is positive, not because it is hopeful, but because the system is receptive. You are not fighting habits. You are installing preferences before habits take over. This is also why consistency matters more than intensity. 5 minutes every morning beats an hour once a week. Identity is trained the same way muscles are trained. Repeated exposure, low resistance, daily input. So the morning is not for planning your problems. It is for choosing your state. and state determines decisions. Decisions determine behavior. Behavior determines outcomes. In the next chapter, we will use this window to do the most important shift of all. Stop asking what you want and decide who you are becoming. Breathe to that. Stop asking what you want. Choose who you are. This is where most people derail. Quietly, politely, and forever. Breathe. They ask the wrong question. What do I want? That question sounds mature. It sounds responsible. It sounds like progress. It isn't. Goals are downstream. Identity is upstream. Psychology confirms this without poetry. Behavior follows self-concept, not desire. If you see yourself as anxious, you will choose safety even when opportunity appears. If you see yourself as tired, you will negotiate with effort even when energy is available. If you see yourself as unlucky, you will interpret neutral events as proof. The brain organizes reality around who it believes you are. So rehearsing outcomes without rehearsing identity is like ordering furniture for a house that has not been built. Quantum language would say it like this: possibility collapses around the observer's state. Not intention, state. Ancient wisdom said the same thing, shorter. Become, and the world arranges itself. So in the morning window, do not visualize things. Visualize being. Ask a different question. Who am I choosing to be by the end of this year? Not what you will have. Not what you will fix. Not what will finally make you worthy. Who you are. Calm under pressure. Clear in decisions. Physically strong. Emotionally steady. Creative without forcing. Financially relaxed. Choose one or two qualities. Not a fantasy character, a nervous system state. Now rehearse that state. See a simple scene, nothing dramatic. You walking into a normal situation as that version of you. Notice posture, breathing, tone of voice. Notice what you no longer explain, what you no longer tolerate, what you do without overthinking. This is not imagination for escape. This is installation. The brain does not distinguish clearly between repeated real behavior and repeated rehearsed behavior. Circuits activate. Pathways strengthen. The unfamiliar becomes familiar. And familiarity is the brain's favorite word. Dark humor moment. Most people rehearse failure perfectly every morning. They replay conversations. They anticipate problems. They worry in advance. That is rehearsal too. Very effective rehearsal. So the question is not, does rehearsal work? It always works. The question is, who are you rehearsing? When you consistently rehearse being calm, the body learns calm. When you consistently rehearse being decisive, the brain learns decisiveness. And later, when life demands a response, the system reaches for what it knows best. Rehearsal becomes reflex. In the next chapter, we will complete the loop by bringing the body into agreement. Because a thought rehearsed without emotion remains an idea, and identity requires embodiment. Breathe to that. The body does not believe words. It believes chemistry. Here's the part most people skip, and then blame the universe for. Breathe. You can rehearse the future self all day long, say the affirmations, visualize the scenes, whisper powerful sentences into the void, and still change nothing. Why? Because the body is not impressed by language. The body listens to chemistry. Psychology calls this emotional conditioning. Neuroscience calls it state-dependent learning. Ancient traditions just rolled their eyes and said, feeling is the secret. Thoughts are instructions to the brain. Emotions are instructions to the body. If they disagree, the body wins. Always. You can think, I am confident. But if the body is still producing cortisol, tight shoulders, shallow breath, guarded posture, the signal being broadcast is fear. And the nervous system does not negotiate. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people try to use the future to escape their current emotional state. They want success to give them relief, love to give them safety, money to give them peace. But that sequence is backwards. The body must feel the state before the world reflects it. Quantum language would say, the field responds to coherence. Psychology would say, your emotional baseline determines perception and behavior. Same idea, different outfits. So this step is about emotional installation. Bring attention to the chest, the heart area. Not because it's poetic, because this area regulates coherence between brain and body. Slow the breath, longer exhales, short pauses. Let the nervous system soften. Now generate a real emotion, not forced bliss, not fake excitement. Start small. Gratitude for something ordinary, relief that something passed, appreciation for being here, breathing, alive. Or imagine your future self after the work is already done. Not celebrating, just living. Feel the steadiness, the absence of urgency, the quiet confidence. Even 5% more than usual is enough. This is where people sabotage themselves. They say, I don't feel it strongly. Good. You're training, not performing. Neural change responds to repetition, not intensity. Dark humor moment. If intensity worked, everyone who panicked once would be permanently successful. The body learns by consistency. As you hold the emotion, the heart and brain begin to synchronize. Electrical patterns align, breathing regulates, muscle tone shifts. This is not mysticism. This is coherence. And coherence is readable. People respond differently. Opportunities feel less forced. Decisions get cleaner. Not because reality changed, but because you did. The future self is no longer a concept. It's becoming a bodily memory. And when the body recognizes a state as familiar, it stops resisting it. In the final chapter, we'll talk about the one thing that determines whether this practice actually sticks. Not belief, not motivation. Consistency. And why imperfect repetition beats inspired inconsistency every time. Breathe to that. Consistency beats belief. Every single time. Here's the quiet truth nobody wants to hear, because it ruins the fantasy. Breathe. You do not need to believe in this practice for it to work. Belief is optional. Consistency is not. Psychology settled this long ago. The brain changes through repetition, not conviction. You learned to walk without believing in biomechanics. You learned a language without visualizing fluency. You became the current version of yourself through daily exposure. Not a single breakthrough moment. Identity is trained, not declared. This is why motivation fails. Motivation is emotional weather. It comes, it goes, and it never files a schedule. Waiting to feel aligned is just procrastination in spiritual clothing. Dark humor moment. Most people say, I'll start when I feel ready. They've been spiritually warming up for 10 years. This practice works because it happens before the world interferes. 10 minutes, 15 if you're ambitious. Not heroic, not aesthetic, just repeatable. Some mornings your mind will wander. Good. You are practicing returning. Some mornings the emotion won't rise. Good. You are practicing regulation, not performance. Some mornings you'll feel resistance. Very good. That means the old identity noticed the eviction notice. Miss a day? Nothing breaks. Quit entirely? Everything resets. Consistency builds familiarity. Familiarity builds identity. Identity builds reality. By the time January 1st arrives, something subtle has already happened. The future self no longer feels imaginary. It feels normal, and the brain protects what feels normal. So the year doesn't demand change from you. You enter it already changed. One final reframing. You are not using the future to escape the present. You are using the present to train the future. And the version of you that walks into the new year is not a miracle. It is a habit. Breathe to that.